Hello and welcome back to Transports Fever 2, the UK modded series. Thank you very much for joining me in today's video for the third part, and this time it will be the final part of the Southern Marshalling Yard build. Now, in the last video I sorted out this southern approach side, which I have actually changed off camera just a little bit. You may notice that the curve is a little tighter. I was looking at this after I'd recorded. Look, there go two locomotives, a double-head locomotive shooting off in the distance. Anyway, I was looking at this after I'd recorded the last episode, and I thought to myself, you know what, I can probably make that tighter and then get the farms to go around, and it would look perhaps a little bit more realistic. So I did. And I think it does. It still is not perfect, but I think this is probably the best that I'm going to be able to get. Now, you are going to notice that there are locomotives, there are trains queuing up right here at this sort of junction. That is because things are going to need fixing here, especially with this new bit that I'm building, this new approach. That is going to require some changes, which should allow all of this to run a little bit more smoothly. But for those of you who have a keen eye, you may notice that the marshalling yard actually also looks a little different. After the intro, I'm going to show you what I have attempted on the north side and then try and do it properly, because I do not think that is actually done as well as it could be, and that should be the final connection. I also have a couple of ideas on how to get this attached to the main line on the north side, because it is going to be a little difficult. I've realised that with the two tracks that we have, having all these trains coming in and out, and there probably will be some large trains, quite a few large trains coming in and out of here, it is going to cause a little bit of chaos. So I need to look at that. And also, I have gone through the map, actually improving a number of things, changing some things, fixing some things. Oh, look, there goes a freight train. Such as the rivers. I've improved the way some of the rivers are. I'll show you that. The village. One of the villages that I was planning to do, I've actually built that. I'll show you that after the intro, and some feedback would be very much appreciated on that. And I think I may have put some new roads down. I'm not entirely certain. But anyway, make sure you stay tuned. Let's get started. And let's get this marshalling yard finished, up and running, ready to go, so that we can actually have proper freight, proper goods going to and from all of this area of the map. That poor locomotive. It's just started accelerating and now it has to stop. Okay, so before we get to the marshalling yard, I thought I'd show you this. I've actually sorted out this river all the way through Kingsbridge, all the way up here, and then I thought to myself, because this area flattens out a little, let's put a little natural lake in here. And so I did. And then it continues. I've turned this into a little bridge which does cut through the river, because I need to perhaps improve that just a touch. In fact, let's do that on camera, shall we? Waterways. It is this one, I believe. No, it isn't. It's this one. And I need to try to get this to just do that. There we go. Hopefully that opens up the bridge. There we go. It does. It's sorted and nothing to worry about. And then all I can do is just go over to the paint tool and no, not that little, but just remove the paint there, and it gives it a very realistic river style, which I think is much nicer than what I've had previously. So I will have to go around perhaps cleaning some of this up because of how I've neatened it. Let's just clean this bit up, for example. Also got this working here really nicely, so that works all the way up to here. past where the marshalling yard is going to start. So I'll show you that in a moment, and that is one of the reasons, or the main reason I actually had to do this, is because I thought, well, if I'm going to be building a bridge over this, I need to make sure that this is all correct. So that is why I have built that. Let me show you what else should I show you? Let me show you the village before we get back to the marshalling yard, because some feedback on this would be very much appreciated. I've been trying really hard to create what looks like a realistic village. And this is what I've come up with. And I'm not sure if it really works. I've actually manually put these... See, these houses, they look okay, but do they look like a village? I'm not sure. I'm really not sure. I've put these in. These look a little bit better. I've put some of these buildings in, and I've tried to do a few things here and there, but I'm just not sure whether or not this actually works. So please let me know in the comments box. Do you think this works for a village? Am I missing anything? If I am, perhaps that would make it look more realistic. And if not, I'm going to get rid of all of these villages and just call it and say, never mind the villages. That was an attempt. Now, admittedly, I've only put stations in a couple of places. I can very easily get rid of them, remove the village, all traces of the village, and just continue as if nothing happened. But there we go. So that is that. Oh, and something glitched here with this bridge. It sort of flattened. If you've seen, I think I made a Reddit post on this, and I put on it, the game decided to flatten the bridge over the river dam. So there we go. Yep, it ended up making a dam. But this is, I rebuilt it, and honestly, I think this looks really, really nice. So I am starting to be slightly more tempted into building houses on this side of the river, because that view does look quite good, and I can see that building up to look very, very nice indeed. It is a shame that the level of detail model for the paint makes those look really dark red as opposed to these colours that I want them to be. So there is that. But anyway, moving away from that, let's go ahead and get back to that marshalling yard, shall we? Because I want to get this finished. This is going to get finished in this video, and let's go through this in a little bit more detail. So I've broken these little bits of track just to ensure that the pathing does not send it along here, because this is now connected all the way up to here. So all of this is now 4-track, which I think should be pretty good. So we have that. All right. It's a good view from here. Just sit here and watch. Maybe I should fence this area off. That'd be interesting. Just to fence this area off. But anyway, yes, I tightened this curve up. So previously, I think I pulled it out from here, and it was way out here. Quite close to this. So I've tightened that up. It does seem to work. This I also lowered a touch more, which I also think does work. Oh, there goes another train. This area is really quite busy, so that does work. I don't think I received any comments saying that this is no good. So yes, that's positive. Having lowered it a bit, I have just noticed that glitch. I will fix that off camera probably. And then this bit here, I think, is working as best as I'm going to be able to get it to work. Potentially, I can put, which I think I will. I'm just going to put a crossover right here. I think that might be worth doing. There we go. That's probably worth doing. I've also just I wish that this thing would not put the overhead lines up. Should just default to no, or default to keep, actually. There we go. So that is that setup. Yes, not the greatest, but it does work. So this side I think is done. And in the future, if I need to expand, I've got these options. So let's go over to the other side. As somebody did say, a roundabout was probably a good idea. Now, in all honesty, at this rate, I could probably put the crossroads back in. So I'm going to potentially consider that. And also probably going to look at, in fact, I'm going to do this right now. I'm going to start looking at putting this back in. And let's see what the climb in this is like. I think having it climb in that fashion is better, and getting rid of that, and then having that steep bit there. There we go. That is not the worst. It is an uphill climb, but honestly, I can see vehicles being able to do that fairly easily. I could smooth out that gradient all the way. Now, back to this. This is the solution I came up with for the entrance from the north side. So all these bridges, which are in the same style as these. So all of these bridges will be what is used to get across this road, or the whatever it is, the roundabout or the road, depending on what I do. The thing is, it took me a while to make this roundabout, so I would rather leave the roundabout, make the bridges, then decide whether to get rid of the roundabout and put the crossroads back in. So what I need to do is fix, obviously, all of this. So I'd want this splitting a little bit earlier, and I'd want this all working very neatly. You can see that there are these little girders sticking out there and there. So all of that is going to be fixed. But the idea is we go from 2-track over here across this river. I would probably split it right here into all of the various tracks, and it just peels in. That is how I see this working. It's almost like this side, one of these or one of these, but just for every single track. So that is my idea. Now, on the flip side, it does mean that it is going to be much harder to have trains going in and out of these, because there's nowhere for them to swap and connect up to something else, unlike the one that I have in the north. That one is a lot more, it would look a lot more active, so I need to do something with that. But the important bit is getting this running. So let's go ahead, and now I'm going to be able to break all of this because I'm not really fussed. I am going to pause the game just to make this a lot easier. Now that I've demonstrated how this goes, though, I can very easily break this. And the pause is just because if I leave this playing, it takes much longer to get rid of the bridges. I think it's to do with the bridges that have the errors. That is what I think it is to do with. Now, why the bridges have the errors, I have no idea. So that's a completely different question. But they do, and that is what I need to solve. Be very careful here. That bulldoze option is great. I'm going to cut those two back. These ones I'm going to leave where they are for now, and we'll work from there. Okay, so in fact I'll break that and that, and I'll hook that up to that level. So tracks, 15 mile per hour track. So I'm going to start with 15. I'll probably put the speeds up a little later. Before the end of this video, I'll put the speeds up. Obviously, there is some detailing that needs to happen too. So we've got this. Now, the way I do this is I'm thinking that these ones, first off, will make that flat. So it is going to remain on a bridge. Then we bring the bridge height down, tunnel depth down. Now, it almost looks perfect apart from that bit. But there is a couple of things I can do. So I could add the bridge, or I can start adding the bridge, or select the bridge. Where is the bridge? Which bridge is it? There it is. So I'll select the bridge. Now, if I start dragging this with and press C, it allows me to place the bridge. The only problem is it doesn't, for example, give me the straight line. Actually, it does if I hold it and press C. So straighten it, do not let go, press C. There we go. There's a bridge. But you'll note that is pretty low. It is a low bridge. I'm not sure. In fact, hang on. I can make that a much higher bridge. There we go. I just realised that was too low. That is not such a low bridge. It will do. And it has that there, but that is going to be the one that causes problems, and you're about to see this. So I do this, press C, and now, annoyingly, I can no longer line up on here. So if I do that, it will do that, and I cannot line up. So what I need to do instead is press M. And M just gives this a very slight raise, which you may notice. Which you probably cannot notice. Okay, so it just lifts it up just a little, and that's enough to clear this. But if I keep making this, we're going to run into the problem, which you're about to see. There you go, bridge pillar collision. So I had to think of this separately and say, press C and have a separate bridge. If I can get this to work. But unfortunately, with the separate bridge, I think you can all see what is going on. In fact, one thing I just realised there is that, can you actually build? You can build this on slight curves. I'm just curious about something. How does that look? Appalling. Looks absolutely appalling. Okay, so now you see the issue. This is the issue that we have. So how do I get around that? It's quite easy. What I do is I say that these ones curve off slightly to the side. Like so. Pick the bridge. So these ones, I'll have them curve off to there. And this one just follows it along, which it's built the pillar in the wrong place. Sometimes this is, maybe I shouldn't have got rid of it in the first place, the first one I did. And I'm trying to keep this flat as well for as long as possible, and you'll see why in a moment. Maybe I shouldn't have got rid of that bit. There we go. No pillars, that's no good. There we are. Trying not to make too much of a curve. So as little a curve as possible. In fact, honestly, it doesn't matter if it has a bridge or not. Although I am confused as to why that did not work. Come on. There we are. That will do. Just make sure that this goes all the way along the end. I'm baffled as to what just happened there. There we go. So that's the two, and they're curved slightly off, which means that potentially I could add the third if it allows me. It does allow me to add a third, so I will add the third one in. But as soon as it gives me bridge pillar collision, which it shockingly is not giving me now, although it is giving me this, but that does not matter. Seriously, is this... No, there we go. We're now running into issues. This is where things need to sort themselves out. There we go. Okay, that's that bit fixed. Is this seriously going to let me build in? No. Definitely running into issues. But somehow this is letting me... Okay. Oh, fine. There is something here that I need to try and figure out what's going on. Maybe if I built it the opposite direction, from the opposite direction. Or, for example, if I built it like that. Aha, there we go. Now we're getting the collisions. So, unless I built it long enough, then maybe it won't give me the collision, and it doesn't. Right. This is where confusion starts playing a great role in what's happened. And this bit, I'm really not fussed because I'm going to cut this bit back. Well, colour me slightly surprised. That this is just panning out exactly the way I wanted it to, without it actually causing any chaos. To an extent, I could even have crossovers at the end of that. I will be surprised, or I will not be surprised if I get to the end when it says bridge pillar collision. It did not. Okay, we now have this. Now, you can see that it is slightly lifted, but do not worry about that, because the way I'm going to fix that is by one at a time. It's going to take a short period of time. I'm going to select from the start of the bridge. Okay, well, from this side, this part of the bridge, this part of the bridge, turn around to this bit, and get rid of that. Flatten. And that does flatten it. Now, obviously, you're looking at that and thinking, well, hang on, what's happened here? Do not worry. As we start flattening each one of these, eventually, the bridge should flatten. The bridge is not going to flatten, is it? The bridge should flatten. I'm going to do this, and eventually it is either going to go right or it is going to break and go wrong. So I'm going to do this all the way through and hope that it does actually work. 1, 2, 3, 4. Nope. That was the wrong thing to press. Oh, please start flattening this bridge. Okay, still is not flattening. Maybe when I get to the last one, the final one will flatten. That's not what I meant to do. No. This, by the way, has to be one of the greatest tools. I've mentioned this a number of times. If you do not have, what's his name, Werner's tools, I would highly recommend you get them. There we go. The bridge has flattened itself. So now I just have to find the ones that are still wonky, which is from here. So it's the parallel tool, this tool, the ramp equalizer. I think he does the Joker streets as well. There is the info tool, the height adjusting tool, the node tool, the track splitter tool, the track street modifier tool. All fantastic tools, which I would recommend to everyone playing this title. I really hope that these tools make it into Transport Fever 3 as default tools, because they need to. The fine control that is accomplished by these tools it allows you to build things that you would definitely not be able to build in Transport Fever 2 without it. Other way. There we go. Okay, is that every track flattened? It is. And now all we have to do is break this bit. Well, actually, why am I breaking that? Actually, yes, I am going to break this just to make them as... see, that one needs to be shrunk down a little bit more. So what I will do is at this point I will use the track splitter, split that there. Oh no! Oh no! Oh, that has gone badly wrong. Okay. Why did it do that? Well, oh, hang on. I can probably fix this. Come on. There we go. Fixed. Almost. We still have a slight problem here. What's up with this bit? Okay, I can do this. I can do this. Track splitter here. Yeah, I know. Oh, that's actually fixing things. Yes, that is actually, and then that one I can just break at the end. Connect that up, connect that up to the end, and we should... Oh, there's a tiny bit. Who is that connected to? Whose is that? I think... Who does that belong to? I think that might belong to this. Yes. There we go. And now we have a clean end to this bridge, which is exactly what I was after. I have no idea why that's causing collision. What are you colliding with? I'll figure that out in a few seconds. Build that there, build that there. Let's try this again. What did you collide with? All right, break that back. Rebuild. There's something here. What is it? I have no idea. I'm going to build it anyway. Let's see what is causing... And that collides with that. Why? Okay. There's something not quite right here. So to fix that, I'll just do this. and that. There we go. That's now happy. That one is not. Oh, there's something. Hang on. Who is that to do with? That's connected to something. Who I do not know. Okay. So, some problems are occurring, but I'll get through them. Okay, I might need to leave that just for the time being, and that might cause me issues all the way down. No, not all the way down, just for those two tiny bits. No idea why. That I will probably fix. But there we go. We now have the full, how many tracks is this? 2, 4, 8, 10, 12. 12 track approach into the marshalling yard. And in all honesty, I could probably very carefully put this back in as no roundabout. No, come on. Where is that pointing? How does that look? Not great. However, the roundabout can go. No, that looks fine. There we go. Roundabout is gone. That is back. I can always add some detailing a little later to that. And in all honesty, let's do some testing here. I'm actually going to try and stick a locomotive under this. Because if a loco can fit under this, which it appears that it can. I'm just going to check that a little bit. Oh, a locomotive can fit under this very easily. If a loco can fit under this, then what I can do is... Where is it? Ah, yes. Use these tools to sort out the middle bit. So let's go ahead and do that. I'll lift this up. Let's just lift it up 1 meter just to collision. All right, or forget the collisions. There we go. Yes, a 1 meter lift is pretty good. So over here, I'll lift that 1 meter as well. That does improve. I mean, it's going to be interesting as to what it does for this bit, but that does work a little better. And then I can very carefully select from here to here and smoothly have that increase. That seems to work reasonably well. And then from very carefully again from here to here, have that smooth itself out. Good. I suppose I can do the same on these sides. So this side here. Oh wait, I can start bringing this up. Probably, I'll see if I bring that up even more. But there we go. And then on this side, definitely can bring this up. So from no, is that the cross? No, from there to, should we say here? Turn around. Turn around, will you? There we go. Oh, that actually makes it lower. Right. Well, in that case, I'm going to stick a marker here and lift that up a meter, just like that. There we go. Job done. That looks pretty reasonable. And then I guess I can smooth this out. Let's just smooth some of this out now just to see how it sorts itself out. Which I think as a whole that sorts itself out reasonably well. This bit I can just smooth it like that. That does not appear to cause any problems. This bit I kind of want to leave a little higher up. So I'll smooth just the edges here out because I want to leave that as something. And even here I'll just smooth it out just a touch, and then that should do the trick. Now, I can easily put a wall or a support in all of these places when I need to, but I'm not going to do that just yet because the next bit is, of course, getting this all done. Now, since this is 12 track, we're looking at 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6 there. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. So it's 1, 2, 3, 4. It's these two. These two are our center tracks. So I want everything to peel off this. And still leaving this at this height, and you'll see why. Because if I continue at that height, you end up starting to cut into the terrain anyway. So there's no point me going down because we are very quickly going to start going up again. And as such, what I want to do is perhaps pick from, let's see, the point where the terrain, where this is flat against the terrain, which is there. That is where I want things to start splitting. So, oh, not crossing. No. Splitting and up to the end. Perfect. Step 1, of course, crossover. Cannot do anything without a good crossover. There we go, that's done. Step 2 is going to be with a little bit of a gap. I was thinking maybe I can connect the two outsides like that. Step 3 would be to connect this as a three-way switch. So 3-way points to have that, which hopefully will look the part. And now you see we have 3 left here. So, making the most of what we have in the center, I thought I would peel off this like that, and then have 1. And potentially, if this works the way I want it to work, 2. It doesn't look the greatest. I was kind of hoping that would look a little better, but it is somewhat unique. So I guess that's something. What would happen if I, out of curiosity, if I connect it up like this? Does it look better? No, it's that end one that does not work. So let's try doing the middle connection again. No, brake please. Thank you. And from here, in there, and then this is from there to there and there. And unfortunately we cannot have the extra, well, we could. We could have it just coming up towards the bridge. Should we want any extra crossings, we could do that. But there we go. That is that. I can then smooth this section out like so. So that looks fine. maybe a massive overhead gantry here with lights. That would be interesting. Just a massive gantry with all the lights. Somebody did say for me to try and use one of them, so I will. Let me see what I can do next. Let's just play this for a moment whilst I'm trying to figure out how to connect this up on this side, because I haven't thought all of this through. I will admit, I haven't thought all of this through. If at this point, let's see, I break this, because I probably am going to have to. So at this point we do this. There is going to be something here. Right, okay. I'm going to have to do something with this bridge area. So let's try and do that. Do not need that. I just need this lifted enough for it to be a bridge. That's all I need. There we go. If I lift it just enough to make the bridge, then I can flatten it again whenever I need to. And honestly, I can just use the same. I can say, well, let's use that, whatever that style of bridge is. No. Whoops. Yep, that's it. That will do. Try and find the right bridge. Was it this style? No. What colour is that bridge? This style? No. That doesn't look right. That's too dark. Certainly isn't that. And it isn't that. Which bridge did I use? It might be one of these bridges. If it's one of these bridges, it's going to be a problem. Or I could just do that and build this as one of these. Because I suppose we are using this style the whole way through, so it wouldn't look too out of place if I did that. Just build it. There we go. Now, you'll see the hump on this, but I think I can potentially fix that. So one way to fix it is going to be select, not that. No, that, there we go. And drop that by meter. And that's that down, and do the same for this one, and say drop that by meter. There we go. Good. And then all we do is select from here to... Where did it drop to the meter? There. There. Ramp equalised. Done. And just check that on the opposite side. That looks fine to me. That looks absolutely fine to me. And do the same thing here. And say ramp equalizer, drop that down. Why has that happened? Wait, what has happened here? You there to there. There we go. That's better. Must have selected the wrong node. Okay. This isn't perfect, but we are getting somewhere. Definitely getting somewhere. And then there to there. Ramp equalize that, please. And there to there. There. Ramp equalize that. Okay. That is now a flat bridge, pretty much. That is seemingly doing what it needs to do. And then we open up into this, which is absolutely fine. Okay. Now, how do I connect to the main line? So I've been thinking about this, and there are a few potential issues that we have here. One of them is going to be that there is a lot of traffic that goes through here. So if I just go... So we've got Southern Freight, which will not be going through here anymore. But we have one... Actually, we only have 2 lines going through here. Oh, we could just take the freight through here. I thought there were 3 or 4 lines going through. There will be another line. There will be a third line going through this. But I suppose I can connect it. I could do. So I could lift this up. I might try that. Let me see how this pans out. No, embankment. How does that... Well, that would look interesting. That's for sure. Definitely look interesting. I'd rather not have it go up quite that high, but we'll see. So I could, in theory, just peel this off here and say, oh look, we are going to... This one's going to need some work. It's going to need to be there for this to work. So I could say, look, let's peel off here and go on our way, and it will go through the centre lines, centre platforms of the station, should it need to. Might need to then make the station bigger. Alternatively, I could run 2 lines through here. I could run 2 lines through here and then somehow, and this is a bit I'm not entirely sure how. What did I build? Oh, this. Right, let me see how this one works. Part of the... just trying to figure this out. Oh, that's better. That is much better. Okay. I do appreciate this design. I know the speed is wrong, but I do appreciate that design. And you'd come across this bridge and you'd see another bridge there with... which I think can still be improved. That, why does that still look humpback to me? I can probably improve that further. Maybe select from there to here or something and get that fixed. Yeah, look, there's some weird going ons here. So let me select from there to here. Let's just do that and see what happens. Actually, that works even better. That works far better than I thought it would. So up to here, I think it was. Other way. Other way, please. There we go. Thank you. That works quite well. I can then, let's say, cut right here, break this, cut, do that. That looks better. Bridge is a little shorter on this side. And do the exact same thing here, which is going to be cut it right there. Right, that's a full bridge, so cut that too. One of these will... Right, we're running into these issues. I'm going to have to try and figure out how to fix those. But that does look quite a lot better. Yes, maybe just a little bit of very gentle smoothing like that. There we go. That looks even nicer. And just as a, what would it look like from, this is an awkward angle. There we go. I do think that works. Yes, personally, I think that this works very nicely. Okay, that is, I'm reasonably happy with that. That is a good, yes, that is a good connection on the north side. Admittedly, if I could have, I probably could have, but I did not. If I had curved all of this slightly more, it would have been here. And that might have been an even better option. But unfortunately, it's out here. That's okay. If you think that off camera I should redo this and twist this in a bit, then let me know. I'm going to just see what happens if I attempt something here. It can be done. It truly can be done. But having it pointing in that direction instead could make all the difference. Oh dear, the temptation here. Dear, oh dear. I just having it point in the right direction. No, I might try this off camera, so this may change. This may change, but I might try this off camera just to get it connected up to this side. But I think that is working. So now we should be able to run trains instead of going in and out of or up and down these lines. We're going to have them run through these, which should look pretty cool. Let's go ahead and put some signaling in. Should I put temporary signals or proper signals? That is the question. Let's just start with proper signals. So I need to figure out where on earth these signals are going to go. I think the first signal set, an important one, is the entrance there. And an important signal is this exit here, and that signal is fine, so I'm not fussed. There should be a signal coming in. Where does this signal need to be? There's something missing here, a crossover. I think there's a crossover missing here. Okay, let's put the crossover in. How tight a crossover can I make? That and that. That works. Signal can be right here. And then the opposing signal can be right here. That should be enough room for one of these trains. 100, 200, 292 meters, just enough room for one of these trains. 319 yards, we're looking at 250 meter trains. It's about 270 yards. This one is going to be slightly concerning, but for example, say from here, what is the distance? As long as we get over 500 yards, we should be okay. 535 yards. That works. And the signal going in should be the same. So the back of the train cannot be passed here. So let's work out how far this is. Again, needs to be 500 yards or so. I would say that that is 500 yards or so. Perfect. That works. So I can have 500-yard trains going in and out of this area. That's the maximum I'm going to be able to do. Could I potentially push this one in? No. I can probably get 550 at most, but that is honestly the limit. So that is that bit done. What did I build? I'm going to find an errant piece of track somewhere. And I have no idea where. And clearly I've built something. Right. This bit, I'll have to rework the signalling. Let's go ahead and finish off this episode with these bits. So, let's start. Well, let's just connect this up and then change the speed limits. So that is now connected all the way up to here, which is good. That's a significant portion of 4-track now. In fact, that's what? A mile? No, it's not quite a mile. It's over a kilometre, but it's 2/3 of a mile. Maybe not the greatest amount of 4-track, but that's fine. Good enough for our trains, as I've pointed out before. Longest train. So if I stuffed a signal, that signal which is there, I can have another signal. Let's give it 600 yards, 650 yards to be on the safe side. That would make another signal go here. But say another one of those trains came into this. Okay, it needs to be 2 signals 600 yards apart from this point. That is what I'm going to do. And we'll just have to deal with not being able to have the... Oh, it's not working. Okay, we'll do 600 yards from this signal then, shall we? Come on. Will you stop building? Right, fine. 308 yards right there. So we'll go from there. Why do you wish to cause me such grief? .400 yards is there. .600 yards is there. Put a signal about there. Okay. Then that should give me another 600 yards to play with. .607 yards. Good. That is good enough. On the flip side, probably want to do a similar thing. So we'll have a signal right here. Ooh, hang on. Could I do... If I have a signal there, and that signal there probably is going to move. So if I have a signal there and a signal there, and I have another set of signals there, but another signal just here, better flow of traffic? Potentially? I'm thinking of putting a gantry, an overhead gantry here. It would look weird because of how things are. Okay, let me know. Should I put an overhead gantry over on this one? Do let me know. So that goes there. That is fine. Then we've got... So this one is for freight's going in there or the passenger traffic coming out here. I need to have a signal here because freight is not as important. And that's for freight. This signal probably wants to be pushed. Oh, we've got one there. If we've got one here, and we've got one here, I'm going to push this signal back a bit. No, I know what that signal's for. That's for the express traffic to be able to come through. Okay, good. And then this is going to go along here. Let's get the speeds up. Check the speeds, please. Let's go for, so 60 on the outside rail. Sure. Let's do 60 there. Oh, that's 37. Okay, we'll work on that. I'll fix that bit. I'll try and make that a little faster if possible. So 60, and let's go ahead and bump this up to 60. 46, 47. So that will have to be 40. Okay. So that's 40, that's 40. Unless I somehow manage to get that to be faster as well. No, I'm going to leave that as it is. Those ones are no longer going to be required. Let's make this 40. I'll probably figure that out. And then this entire section from here in should probably be 40. Yes. Yep, 40 all the way up to, yes, I think up to here. And at that point, everybody should slow down to whatever the, 15 into the yard? I guess we could do 15 into the yard all the way. And then, so... the entire marshalling yard is 15 apart from where you pick up things, which is 10. 15 there. And then on the opposite side, back to 40 here. That makes sense to me. Yes, 40 miles per hour does make sense. Unless I want this to be faster. How much faster could I make this? Will it take 75? It'll take 70. Okay. 70. So we'll do 70. What I'm trying to do is I'm just thinking if that's a main line, that's a lot of traffic that could be going down there that we might run into trouble with. So if I turned this all 70, 67, 70, that should be all right. That becomes 70 up to the bridge, at which point it becomes 40 and 15. So they're just braking all the way down. That could work. That could definitely work. Let me know in the comments box what your thoughts are upon that. I think that could definitely work. Okay, let's do a small amount of detailing because I know that needs to be done. I cannot show this as finished if that detailing is not complete. So I'm going to, let's go ahead and do that. We'll start with the hedges, because that's probably the main bit. And we'll go there to there. And then a curve. I wonder what the arc is. What is the difference between the curve and the arc? I do not know. There we go. Get rid of that. So that's that bit done. Let's fill this in. There to, I think there will do. And on this side, we'll take this. We'll start using the C key more. I tend to use Shift, and that isn't great. But using the C key does work a lot better. That's a tip for people who are using, trying to get things to not snap. We used to use Shift, but the C key, I think, it just makes it a little bit easier, in all honesty. Let's try and make this. Can we get this to go up the hill? I suppose I can. Like that. And then a straight line up to there. How does that look? Not the worst. That certainly does not look the worst. Good. Okay, next I'll need to get the paint tool and clear some of this out. There we go. That looks better. Shrink that brush size down. Now there is something I could use in the debug menu with the environment. I could potentially rotate the sky around, and that allows me to actually see what on earth I'm painting on this side, which is probably quite useful in all honesty. Probably want to paint that in some sort of lavender colour as well. I'm also considering how the farmer's supposed to access this land. There's got to be some sort of road access, surely. Okay, and then on this side, we want to... How am I going to do this? Let's just start here. We'll start here and then go line and curve. I suppose I could have it offset from here. Why don't I just do that? So that is flat along the ground, isn't it? How much of an offset can I have? 5. That's not enough, though. Nope, that isn't going to work. Okay, that's fine. Not a problem whatsoever. I think this will do fairly nicely. Again, let's try this arc thing. There probably is a very distinct definition for these two for Transport Fever 2, but I just don't know what it is. There we are. That looks lovely. Connect this bit up to, not there, to here, please. That works. What on earth? I've made a crop circle. This is not good. This is not good at all, because getting rid of this is going to be a problem. I have no idea what other assets I have. I'm not sure if... What in the world has happened here? That's not what I wanted. Okay. Think. Hedges. Did I ever end the hedge? Finish. There we go. Okay. That's definitely gone. It's gone. It's disappeared. Okay, thank goodness for that. It didn't build it. It must have not built it. And okay. My computer was getting confused. That was for sure. It was starting to rev up and go, what are you doing? What are you trying to give me? Here we go. Let's finish this bit off. Oh yeah. That was silly. A straight line. There we go. That's that one. Okay, things are looking far more realistic here. Let's go ahead and... Now, in all honesty, I probably wanted a bigger gap here. That's okay. We will make something happen along here. There we go. When we now have a much bigger gap, and I'm going to give this maybe a little bit more space than is strictly necessary, because I'm considering what else I could maybe build here. No, over here. Come on. Stop causing trouble. There we go. Just stay like that. Okay. And I'll work out what on earth to do with this bit a little later. So I'm just going to, for now, I'm just going to connect it and do that. I'm not going to hook that last bit up, because I think that is going to need some rework. This farm on this side is actually going to disappear, I think. If it comes back, I'll figure something out. But I think this area here is no longer farm. This one I want to keep as a farm, though. This one's going to be sort of the awkward one, where the person's like, no, I want to... Oh, please do not crash. Come on, game. You've been working perfectly this whole time. Please do not crash. And one crash recovery later. Here we go. Let's try this again, shall we? Hedges. No, that's terrain tools. Hedges. Right, try that again. Gentle. Okay, we'll start with a line. Last time it went wrong. Now it seems to be happy. There we are. For this one, I just want it to effectively just curve right the way around. Like so. And I know that this bit is going to be different, so I'm going to make this a straight line along here up to there, and then break that, and put some more hedges in just here. There we go. It looks okay. Not quite as good as I wanted it to look, but that's all right. And then I suppose this bit here, I'm going to have to figure something out. Let's put... I might just put some trees along here. And all of this is fine. All of that is fine. I think we are okay. Right. So to finish today's video, which has been a little long, but there we go. I need to pop a couple of these in here. Signals there. Where does this end? Just here. Come on. Come on. Work. There we go. Some signals there. End of this one is over here. Right. Hang on. Where is the end of this one? Just here. Okay, so for this one, I think I am just going to put the overhead gantry just to see how it looks. So, gantry, there it is. As I said, I've used this before. Let's do... How many tracks do we have? We have 6. So, left span, let's do 4, 2, 2. No, that doesn't work. 0, 6, 0. There we go. That looks reasonable. Okay, so I know the 060 works. Great. Wrong era. Needs to be slightly older than that. And all I need to do is not put the dummy signals up, but real signals. So let's put the real signals up. In fact, no, let's put this up first. I can always move this a little should I need to. So I think I'd like that to be there. That is where I'd want it to be. I'm not sure that would work for one of these, but that's fine. Okay. Overhead signals, there they are. How far back do they go? In fact, they go a lot further back than I thought they would. Blast. Yep, that looks terrible. Let's go ahead and see if I can offset this. Right, yeah. Whoops. Let's rebuild that then. I know where it is. I've got it set. I think if I do that... Yes, they look slightly off, but that is probably what this offset is all about. How close do I have to build this? I will get this. I will get this. Oh, there we go. Perfect. Done. Okay, we now have a bunch of signals up here. I could overhead combined signals, just because it might look a little bit more interesting. Although, which ones probably need to be combined? It's probably going to be this one, and this one. These most likely just... Oh, actually, and that one. These ones probably just need to be standard signals. Maybe that's a little high. I will say that does look a little high up, but there we are. Right, we now have, after an hour and a half, something that sort of works. No, hold on. Something. What's missing? Signal there. I think. No, I think that's all right. That seems to be right. I found the extra track. Earlier on, I said I had accidentally built some extra track. Where was it? I found it. It was there. Job done. Okay. So, now that that is probably as complete as it's going to be, I'm going to end this video. I'll put a little bit more detailing. If people leave comments saying this needs to be twisted, I'll go ahead and rebuild this bit off camera. I'll twist it in so that it's more lined up with this and then joins up over here. But that is definitely done. This up-down bit I'm not particularly keen on, so I'm going to fix that. So there to there. much better. Just these small things that you just look at, and it allows you to really improve just how certain parts of this look. In fact, I could probably make that even better by going from here to here and doing that. There we go. That might actually look even better. If it doesn't, it's not too difficult to bring it back. There we are. You know what? That does not look too bad. I'm sure I could probably smooth some of this out, but that does not look too bad at all. So, as I said, that is where I'm going to end this video. So thank you very much for watching. Yes, there was more I wanted to do, but at this point, this is now a yard that can be made active. Yes, the detailing may not be there, but this is a yard I can actually use. So that is great. Thank you very much for watching. Please remember to click on the like button if you like this video. Subscribe to the channel for more videos on Tron Sports Fever 2, the UK modded series. Leave a comment in the comments box below letting me know what you think. Any suggestions you might have. If you can do so, please do consider supporting me on Patreon. Link in the description box below, as are links to my social media and Discord server. That is all from me, and I shall see you next time in... What is this angle? This is... Oh, right, I see. Trying to figure out what that angle was. We've done this. Okay, that looks a little better now. But yes, that is all from me, and I shall see you next time in Tron Sports Fever 2, the UK modded series, where I might do a little bit of detailing, but I think overall what I will most likely end up doing is getting the trains actually running on this particular track, or in this particular yard, because I think that's probably the most important bit that needs to be done now. Get these trains off the main line and into this pretty nice... I will say the yard does look pretty decent. So yes, I will do that next time. Make sure you stay tuned for that, and I will most certainly, hopefully, see you then.